Hey, you're listening to School of Leadership Development with your host, Angel Vallejo. Welcome here to love, serve, and transform business and life. And if this is your first time on the show, I want to say welcome. Welcome to each and every one of you that have been chiming in since we started. We're on episode 7 today, and I'm really excited. We got a guest speaker coming on here in a few minutes. And if you've been watching, we've been going over this last month. We've been talking about public speaking and how it relates to leadership and leadership development. And so just to drop just a few tips before I introduce my guest. We had yesterday we were talking, or last time we were on the call, we were talking about when it comes to public speaking, you want to speak from what you know. And a lot of times people are like, man, I want to do it, but I just don't know what to talk about. So one tip would be is you want to just talk about something that you know. So about your background or some experience that you've had. And that's where people get mixed up, is where they start trying to do things or talk about areas that they're not really know, that they don't really know. So that's your first tip. The second is prepare. You want to make sure that you're prepared for your talk. So whatever it takes, if you do it in a note, I usually use a notebook, or if you want to go ahead and do a notebook or whatnot. And so another thing is, so first is you want to speak what you know. Second is prepare. And then third is really what we're talking about public speaking here is expressing yourself. So public speaking is awesome because you're able to express yourself. And those of us that are thinkers, you express your thoughts, and also the feelers, right? And the people that are able to express their emotions is another tip for you. So express yourself. And today we have none other than I got a special guest speaker on the line today. Can you hear us okay?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, sweet, sweet. Yes, this individual, his name is Willie Williams, and he's a man of faith. He's an entrepreneur. He actually focuses on relationship and relationship building. And not only that, he's also a U.S. veteran. So I want to say thank you and welcome to the show today.
Thank you for having me.
What's up, Big Will? You made it, man. What's
Yeah,
happening?
everything's great. I think the last time we spoke, I think I was in the Bay Area, but now I'm in the Bronx. So
Yeah, so you and I, we met in San Diego, California, and I remember you moved up north, and you were in San Francisco for a little bit, right?
yeah, the Bay Area. I was in San Jose. Yeah,
Oh, in San Jose, yep.
yeah, yeah.
And now you're in the East Coast.
Now I'm staying. I don't want to move no more. No, I'm
Oh,
not.
really? So
Yeah,
you're like planted over there now, huh?
I'm I'm staying here in the Bronx. I'm staying here in the Bronx. The Bronx needs somebody, so I'm here.
Yeah, nah, that's awesome, man. So share a little bit about, about yourself, your background for our viewers and those that are listening in.
Yeah, so my name is Willie. I actually have a Instagram called Husband in the Making. I proudly want men to be men, not be ashamed of that as well. Um, I s- love to speak. I love to speak on topics passionate about, and one of those topics is that. So, United States Marine Corps, like he said, and I just get out there and speak. Sometimes you get worried about how it comes out, and of course you make mistakes, and you think about, should I've said this way, and I could have said that better, or that came off real arrogant, and I could have said it better. I have those times plenty. The Bronx is my home because people can be kind of upfront with you, and I love it here. But I know I could do that, and I could make mistakes. But go out there and have fun, and I'm having fun just speaking.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. I thank you for just for being open to being open to kind of share about your story and who you are, where you came from, and where you're going. And
Yeah.
so share with a little bit. So I'm interested to hear where like how did you go from that transition from going from Northern Cali to the East Coast?
Man, it was really all God, really. It really was. And my goal was actually to come on the East Coast, to come to New York City. I wanted to, as he said, I'm a Christian, so I wanted to come on their ministry here in the Bronx. But first of all, you got to set a goal. I set a goal. I didn't know how I was going to get to New York City. I remember telling you, like, um, I think I'm called to come to New York City, and I didn't know how. When I was I was really in a bad place, and when I was in Northern California, I didn't have a lot of money, and I was like, I feel that in my heart, I need to go to New York City. I'm like, I was telling God after that, I don't want to move no more. This is it. If I go to New York City, I don't want to move anymore. But I didn't know how. All I knew was I was going to get there. And I ended up actually moving to Houston first. And I couldn't pay my rent and stuff like that. And the Bay Area is really expensive. So my uncle was like, "Hey, come to Houston." So I stayed with my uncle a little bit, got my own, I had roommates in Houston, but the pandemic happened,
Yeah.
and I ended up getting furloughed from my job. And I said, you know what? I was scared. I was really scared. I'm like, what if I can't pay my rent anymore? What if I? And you know what? I said, you know what? If I don't go now, I'm gonna get, I love, like I said, I talk about men and wanting relationships and how to attract women a lot. And I said, if I don't go now, in a year or two, I'm gonna get locked down. And most of the time when I do go out and I meet women. I'm like, when I was in Houston or even in California, I was like, would you like to move? What do you think about New York City?
Yeah.
And most of them was like, New York City, no. I'm like, if I don't move now, in a year, 2 or 3, I'll get locked down. I'll never know what it would have been like to at least live. If I don't like it, I can come back to Houston because I love Houston actually. So
Right.
I made the move, and I stayed in an Airbnb, a small room, like one of the rooms you stay in when you in the Marines. What do you call it?
Like the barracks or something.
Yeah, barracks. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
small barracks room with 2 people in there, and I made that, but I didn't regret it. And now I got a bigger place, and I took that chance though. Didn't know how, but in the midst of the pandemic, I said I won't let this hold me back. I won't let my job furloughing me or losing my job hold me back. Let me take this chance because I'll never know. And if I fail, I'll learn lessons, and that's what my mind said. If I fail, I'm going to learn a lesson from it.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. So what better time to just take action than during this time, right? This
Right.
pandemic. And so you, man, we've known each other for quite some time now, and I know that you got a huge calling on your life. And I want to give you, your the credit that you have some success under your belt, and obviously you've kind of had your ups and downs and stuff. So
Hmm.
looking back at when you first started your career, what is one thing that you wish you would have done or known about before you got started? Now looking back.
For me personally, worry more about the influence than the people following you. I had my page actually husband in the making on Instagram. It had 30,000 followers on there, but I was speaking in a manner that would please people or trying, like, if I knew something was controversial, I might not say it in one way. And I said, you know what? This is not only I'm hiding myself in what God is trying to do through me, because it's not just I just don't talk about I do talk about the Bible a lot, but I talk about relationships and stuff like that. And that's the premise of it. And I said, you know what? I need to start over. I have a lot of following, but I don't have a lot of influence because I'm not doing the things or speaking the things which I believe. And if I had to go back, I would tell myself, look, don't worry about the followers.
Right.
Don't worry about the followers. The followers are going to come when you care about the one or two that's following you already and that's supporting you now. So it was a hard decision, but I said, you know what? I'm cutting this off and I'm starting all over. I don't care if I ever get back to 30,000, but if I hit 30 and I help people, I'm over 30 now. I'm under 100, but I'm over 30 now. But I'm like, if my heart was like, if I reach 30, then it doesn't matter. But if I impacted their life and they said that was a good message, I needed that.
Yeah.
That was one thing I wish I would have told myself before I started.
Yeah, nah, that's so good, man. That reminds me of when I was doing ministry back in San Diego, and it was all new to me. And I
Hmm.
had a guy that was kind of like coaching me through it, and he told me, he said, "You know what? If do what you feel that God's calling you to do, and if only one person shows up, you pour into that one person,
Right.
and if you pour into that one person, that's all that really matters." Then, I mean, it started really like sometimes no one would show up, but then
Mhm.
one, and then two, and then three, and then you got hundreds, and then thousands. And then I always remember, man, if you feel like you're doing what God is calling you to do, and it
Yeah.
might be just for that one person,
Right.
and it's
Mhm.
all worth it.
It is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I want to hear more about your the. So what's the name of your handle?
Husband in the making.
Husband in the making. So I want
Yeah.
to hear. Tell me more about that, man, because you got I see all
um,
of your posts and stuff, and I'm like, man, I went before I got married. I'm like, I should have been looking and following you because
yeah.
all of
Yeah.
the recommendations that you give and everything that you're sharing on there is solid. And
Yeah.
so share with me a little bit about that, because if I correct me if I'm wrong, but
Mhm.
you're still waiting for your wife, right?
Yes, I am. I'm still
Okay, so
waiting
you're a
for her.
single man.
I'm still a single man. And
Yeah.
that birthed out of because it's a lot of not just you get Proverbs 31 ministries are women preparing themselves to be wives, and it doesn't have to be like Christian, but they want to be married and they voice that. But you don't have lot of men speaking that. And it's men that want to be married, but if you go out there and say it, it's kind of a stigma of because everybody's not behind it, is a stigma of you look desperate. And I did get that pushback in the beginning, like, bro, you look desperate. I'm like, no, like it's a what that's biblical. I mean, I got people having people in the church telling me you look desperate. I'm like, no, that's biblical. It's good. It's a good thing to want that. That's not a bad thing to want that. It's a
Right.
good thing to start preparing now. So I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to be bold about it, and I'm just going to say, hey, I'm preparing myself, and most of the time, I'm learning from different relationship coaches, and I'm learning from experiences. So when I'm sharing for other people, is the pit holes of what I went through, out of out of a single parent home. And one of my biggest lessons is I sought so much to please women that I didn't really ask myself, what did I actually want in a relationship? You know,
Right.
what do I want? But this is can be a culture of them. You see it all the time in movies where it's like the man chases the woman and the woman's not interested, but he chases her so much till all of a sudden the bad guy that she's with breaks her heart. That she realize, oh, this nice guy right here, and it doesn't work like that. I thought it did, but it didn't work like that. So many lessons that I'm learning and that I'm teaching others is from my own personal experiences. And
Yeah.
I want and women listen too because they're like they want men to be men. They want men to be men. And then guys listen too because it's like, wait a minute, like You can be, you know what I'm saying, you can be, you know what I'm saying, a man's man in the church. Because we're missing men in the church. We really are. But you can be a man's man in the church and say, hey, I'm going to provide for you. Look, I put my life on the line for you, honey. But these are some of the needs I want too. And when you can come together in a marriage and say, hey, I need this from you, and then the woman can say, okay, I need this from you. And you can share that and say and feel comfortable. We need more men. That's why I was bold in with the name. We need more men being comfortable and saying, because women are outspoken nowadays. You see it on Facebook and social media about what their needs are. Hey, we have to feel comfortable about as men and say these are my needs, and just because your needs are different than mine, that doesn't mean they're evil, you know. So
Yeah, that's good, man. Well, you definitely have your work ahead of you, dude. Because this,
I,
there's plenty. Even when you do find your wife, I want to encourage you is
mhm,
that don't stop then,
yeah,
because it's an ongoing thing. It continues. It's an ongoing relationship, and there's always going to be that ongoing. You're just adding to it, and it's a beautiful thing, man. So yeah, that's good stuff. Good stuff, dude. All right,
thanks.
so back to leadership. You're on the School of Leadership Development radio show,
Mhm,
and we are talking about public speaking. And
mhm.
so I want to just ask you, what has public speaking, has it played anything in your role as becoming the entrepreneur and leader that you're becoming? Has public speaking been an attribute for you, or is it something that you continually used to use? Or
Yeah, yeah,
about
yeah,
that?
definitely, definitely. As far as for me, I'm using my voice to share my opinion and share, you know, and share what I actually do. I was in the financial services industry, so sharing that and using my voice not only just in the church, but going to schools and speaking to young men and young women, you know, going to, you know, women that, you know, are pregnant and they're scared that they don't know what's going to happen, but having being that father figure and be able to speak into their life, and it's having men who don't have fathers or that are in their 20s and like are looking for a mentor and be able to speak into their lives. It's definitely helped me. Then it holds me accountable too. You already know, Angel, because the things I'm speaking, I'm like, okay, I got to be a better person because now they're looking at me. And like you said, like when I get married, it's not just going to stop there. I have to get better and better and better because if you're not growing, you're dying. You can't really be really stagnant. So it helps me personally as well to keep me accountable and say, okay, the stuff that I wish I learned as a young man, I'm learning now, but I got to keep learning because I don't want to say in 50. I'll say it when I'm 50 because I wish I would have known that, but I want to say it less and say, you know what? I grew and I learned more because I was able to listen and speak into other people's lives and also have mentors as well. That's one of part of the reasons I did move to the Bronx to get under some mentorships and to grow. So
Yeah, nah, that's great, man. Thank you for sharing that. So there, you're on this journey. You shared a little bit about earlier about how what was happening before you got to where you're at today.
mhm.
And so, what are some things or some advice you would give for someone that's maybe on the fence of wanting to do something more in their career, or maybe they want to build a business, or they want to go out and speak, or go do, like you said, go talk to young adults or other people that need areas?
Mhm.
Like what type of advice would you give for someone like that?
I would always say fail forward. Like you're gonna make mistakes. Yeah, you're in your head, really talking about you going over every scenario that you like. What about what if this happens? What if that happens? What if I speak this? What if I stumble? What if my words? I don't think I'm an eloquent speaker to be honest with you, but I go out and speak because if I fail, I learn. You're gonna fail forward, but if you never start, you end up it's so many people that have stories and on their bed and they're about to pass away. And they say, you know what? I wish I would have did this. I wish I would have pursued that. I wish I would have said this to this person, but it's too late. And now you don't want to be that. And it's that serious. When I say it's that serious, you have a gift in you that God wants to use. And you're holding it back because you fail. You already know there's a story in the Bible about Moses. He said, "Speak, I got you." But if you're scared to move forward because of fear, you're going to fail. Let's just get that out the way. You are going to fail. I failed. I failed in business. I failed in relationships. But the thing is, don't dwell on the failure. Go back, cry a little bit. I give you permission to cry, but get back up. Say, what did I learn from this? How can I grow from this? Every relationship I had, okay, it just wasn't her. I can't blame her for what did I learn? Okay, that public speaking, I messed up. I failed. I went off my notes and I started stumbling, and people didn't know what I was talking about. Okay, how can I better prepare my? You're not going to win if you don't lose. You're not even going to embrace. You're not even going to embrace it as much when you win if you don't lose. So go out there and fail because you're not a failure. You just fail. And when you win, you're gonna be like, you know what? It was all worth it. It's always worth it. When a woman is pregnant for those 9 months, it's a lot of pain. But when she gives birth, my God, when she gives birth, that's when it's like, and she holds that baby. No woman says this was not worth it. Get away from me. She holds her baby and says, "You know what? This is all worth it." And with your career, whatever you're pursuing with your business, with your entrepreneurship, I promise you, the labor pains, it hurts. But when you hold that baby and give birth, I guarantee you're gonna be like, it was all worth it.
Absolutely. Wow, man. So many good nuggets there. So, fail forward is how you started. And I love it because you do. It's just part of it. If you don't, if you think you're just gonna win, 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 win,
Mm,
and that's it all the way, it's really
yeah,
I don't know. Everyone that I've met has ups and downs. You got your highs and your mountain highs and your valleys. And yeah, so thank you for sharing that. And another thing is failure is not a person.
yeah,
Failure is an event. So when
mm,
you
yeah,
fail, it's just an event and you
yeah,
go back at it. So a lot of times, I know earlier in my career, when I would fail, I was like, oh man, I would feel like a complete failure.
yeah.
But then my mentor said, no, failure is just an event.
Mm-hmm.
Failure is just an event, not a person. So then I started looking at it. Okay, well, how quick can I fail? And that's the
Mm,
thing that I'm going to be sharing with my kids as they grow up. Is like, okay, what did you do today? How many times have you failed this week, and encourage
mm,
them to go after something.
yeah,
So, because if you're not failing, you're not growing, and
right.
you get to learn from your mistakes. And mistakes are overrated too. So don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
That's great, man.
Nobody remembers all those times you fell. When you hold up that championship trophy, they're not gonna remember. They may remember, but now they're like, "Oh, he's a champion now." Like they're gonna introduce you as a champion, not as a failure.
Right. Yeah, and the thing is, we most people they don't see all the behind the scenes. They just see the highlight.
Mm.
Good stuff, man. So we're talking about leadership, public speaking, leadership, and I want to ask you, what does leadership mean to you?
Leadership, leadership means for me is sacrifice, seeing a need and saying, you know what, I'm gonna be that person to go out there and fill that need. You may not know how, you may not know when it's going to come to pass, but when you see a need, I see a need here in New York City. I saw a need in the Bronx. Who moves to the Bronx? Like it's people talk bad of people that live here want to leave, you know. But when you see a need and you're a leader, you're compelled to go out there and you may see, man, we need more adoptions, we need more choices. I'm gonna go out there and be that leader. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I see more boys that need mentors in my hometown. I'm gonna go out there and do it. So being a leader is may not be that person on that stage, but seeing a need and say, you know what, I see a need, and I'm gonna go there. And it might be the worst of the worst. I think the Bronx is the most beautiful city out here, but people want to leave because there is so much hurt and there's so much, people that it's so fast and people get ignored. But I see a need where the people that are ignored need love. I see a need where the people that are hurting, they need love, they need patience. I see a need where people who are lost, they need someone to guide them by the hand for they can be found. And I was lost, I was hurt. So as a leader, when you come out of those dark places, to me, a leader is, I'm like Harriet Tubman. I'm just not going to get out of slavery. I'm going to take other slaves with me for they can be free as well. So that's leadership to me.
Right, right. Good stuff. So you started out with sacrifice, and that word is like a curse word for some people. It's like, you mean it's gonna be painful and I gotta sacrifice? Not
Mm,
just played, man. But yeah, definitely feeling a need, finding a need. And I've also heard it say a burden. Like,
mm,
what is a burden for you? And it might be something that is really for you to go and
mhm,
deliver, right?
mhm. Right.
Yeah, and yeah, good stuff. We got Dan saying good stuff, guys. What's up, Big Dan? Yeah,
What's up, man?
so
How
for
you
those
doing?
of you listening on the live or pre-recording, go ahead and type your comments below. Thank you guys for chiming in. But yeah, Willie, yeah, thank you for sharing that as far as your perspective on leadership. And you went through the military, and you went through one of the most prestigious training in the world with the United States Marine Corps, and also you've been trained in God, as far as how does God lead.
Yeah.
And then you've seen how the world in the military, on how
Yeah.
that whole perspective was.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing to.
One of the best trainings I've ever had with the
Yeah,
Marine. Yeah.
yeah, that's cool, man. So I want to encourage you, dude, for what you're doing out there in New York and Bronx, man. Whenever it gets tough, just know that there's other people out there rooting for you. I'm on your side, man. I'm on
Yeah.
a phone call away.
Man,
You know,
I pray for you all. I know you went to Detroit and you and your wife, y'all saw a need out there. You went,
yeah,
so I definitely pray for y'all.
yeah, man. I appreciate that. All right, good stuff. So we have how can our listeners, how can they get connected with you? How,
Mhm.
what's the best way to seek you out online?
On all my social medias, I'm on Facebook. You can look my page up, Husband in the Making. Um, you can look up my Facebook, Willie Williams. It's the facebook.com/BIGWIL49. You can look up my Instagram, Husband in the Making, and my YouTube as well, Husband in the Making. So if you type in Husband in the Making on all three of those platforms, I'm almost maxed out on my personal Facebook. So, but all three of those platforms, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, Husband in the Making, you'll be able to find me.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Husband in the making. So yeah, I've been following you for quite some time. I see you're all about fitness and the relationships and stuff. So man, keep it up, dude. Look at that. Oh, you're such a beast.
Remember when I used to weigh like 130, man?
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
you were like skinny, dude.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, you're looking good, man.
Thank you.
Looking good.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks again, Will, for taking a few minutes out of your day to chime in, and each and every one of you that are listening in, and also on the recording. I want to say thank you. I applaud you. Give yourself a pat in the back for showing up. And it's this whole idea of leadership and leadership development. It happens in increments, in bits and pieces. Personal development does. It's like when your nails are growing, but you don't see them grow,
Mm,
right? So it's the same thing as personal development. You read a book, you don't get instant change, so it happens throughout time. So I want to encourage you to continue to seek out those things that you're continuing to learn, grow, and just three things I want you to share, like, or comment on this post. If you want to look at any past podcast that we got going on, is at the School of Leadership Development.com/SOLD. And again, we want to say thank you. And you have leadership inside of you. Willie, you have leadership inside of you. You
thank you.
got great things are coming, man. You got a calling on your life, bro. I want you to just continue to move forward, dude. Continue to shine, man. When God calls you to make those talks and you go live, just do it, dude. Even if one person shows up,
Right.
if it's just one, dude, and that's all. It's all worth it.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. So good stuff. Anything else before we
Nah,
close it out for the day?
I love y'all and send those pictures of those kids, man. I love the kids, man.
Yeah, yeah. Same here, man. Much love, and we'll catch you next week, Wednesdays at noon Pacific. Again, School of Leadership Development. Much love to you guys. God bless, and we'll see you next time.
All right.